Welcome to US Rail Journeys, Series 3. It's been a long time coming, but with the easing of travel restrictions, I have been able to make the journeys I had originally planned for the spring of 2020. So far in this series, I have travelled from Miami to New York on the Silver Star, from New York to New Orleans on the Crescent, and now I'm travelling from Los Angeles to Chicago on the Texas Eagle. I will then complete my 6,684-mile rail tour using the Lakeshore Limited to New York, and then, for my final trip, the Acela to Boston. Episode 31, where we travel through Illinois, from Carlinville to Pontiac, on our final morning on the Texas Eagle. There's now rain streaming across the windows as we pass some fields that have been harvested already, and now passing fields of maize, endless fields of maize. A Walmart with an extremely wet car park. The stations are now coming thick and fast as we travel through Illinois. As we pull into Carlinville, a vehicle goes past on the road through a large puddle of water. If anyone had been stood there, we reach Carlinville station 11 minutes late. The first time we've reached a station on this journey late. Carlinville is the home of Blackburn College, a small college affiliated with the Presbyterian Church and the former home of Prairie Farms Dairy. In the 2020 census, it had a population of 5,710 people. Carlinville Station is used by the Lincoln Service and also the Texas Eagle, and was also a stop for the Anne Rutledge until April 2007. The new upgraded station was completed in the autumn of 2017. 11,172 Amtrak passengers used the station in 2019.
Our last station stop was Carlinville. In about 35 minutes, we should arrive at our next intermediate station stop of Springfield. 35 minutes, Springfield.
The land we're travelling through now is green and lush. Very different from Texas, where in front of every house there was this kind of brown patch. It was raining heavily about 10 minutes ago, but that appears to have stopped for the moment, and the sky is brightening a little.
Intermediate station stop of Springfield. If Springfield is your stop, now it's time to check around your seat. Check the overhead compartment fitting your belongings. Come to the middle of your car. Down the stairs to the lower levels of D train in Springfield. Springfield coming up. We are stopped here waiting for a southbound freight train to clear up the main track. Once they clear up the main track, then we'll proceed on towards our next intermediate station stop of Springfield.
After being held to let a freight train through, we're now moving on into Springfield. We're now probably about 20 minutes late. Springfield looks to be a pleasant place to live. Some nice houses, some brick, some clapboard, many old. I can see a traditional stone church spire. Now we must be coming towards the administrative centre of the town. Bigger office buildings, The suburbs are very close in. The horn is going the whole time as we come into the station, crossing road after road. It looks like it's a pleasant town to live in. A couple stood on the platform hugging, saying goodbye. We're 2,543 miles now into our journey, and this is the Illinois state capital, which has many attractions and historic sites affiliated with Abraham Lincoln, who spent 24 years here as a lawyer and a politician. The only home he ever owned is open to the public. The town was a major centre during the Civil War, both as a training camp and a prison camp. Labour activist John L. Lewis and General Foods Corporation founder Marjorie Merriweather Post once called Springfield home. The first drive-through food service window in the US is still in operation here. It's the Made Right sandwich shop. That healthy delicacy, the corn dog on a stick, is alleged to have been invented in the city. For those of you lucky enough never to have had one, it's a sausage, usually a hot dog, on a stick, coated in a thick layer of cornmeal batter and deep fried. Springfield's Dana Thomas House is among the best preserved of architect Frank Lloyd Wright's prairie houses. The film Legally Blonde 2 was filmed here in 2003. Springfield Station is a brick-built railway station. In 2007 it was used by 5 daily round trips each way, the daily Texas Eagle and 4 daily Lincoln service trains.
Last call, last and final call for passengers to the train to Springfield, last and final call.
The station was originally constructed by the Chicago and Alton Railroad in 1895 and is one of 3 historic railway stations in the city. The others are the Lincoln Depot, built in 1852, and Springfield Union Station, built in 1898. It's decorated with a small mural on the wall above the ticket office, featuring a route map of the post-1947 Gulf, Mobile and Ohio Railroad, and the state seals of Alabama, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri and Tennessee. It was used by 161,319 Amtrak passengers in 2019. We leave Springfield Station 20 minutes late. In October 2021, ground was broken on the Springfield Sangamon Transportation Center, a transit hub to consolidate Amtrak and Sangamon Mass Transit District buses. It is expected that will open in 2025.
Ladies and gentlemen, our last station stop was Springfield. In about 30 minutes, we should be arriving at our next intermediate station stop of Lincoln. 30 minutes, Lincoln.
Maybe because it's the state capital, but Springfield doesn't seem to have the dereliction that I normally associate with the area around the railway station. Yes, there are a lot of car parks, there are a lot of low-rise buildings, and 2 minutes from the station, and this is the state capital, remember, we're back into tree-lined roads and people's homes. Just past a house where I'm sure there were gnomes in the garden. As we travel out of town, we've just passed a relatively major water purification facility. No doubt the town's water all comes from there. We've now stopped, I assume, to let the slow freight train that is on the other track go past us. The freight train has passed and we're now moving forwards again. Even here in the smart wooden suburbs, there is still rubbish fly-tipped by the side of the tracks. The sun is now shining on the leaves. Behind the row of trees that is always next to the railway line, we start to see fields again. Fields interspersed with small roads, and then a few houses. That one's got a nice swimming pool. And there's one there with roses in the garden. The area we're going through now must be executive housing, rather than some of the rather depressed housing that we've seen on our route. Still, the housing is spread along the highway in the same way as it has been spread for much of my journeying across the United States. We're back out into the big farming area. On the highway, signs in one of the directions showing that there's roadworks ahead. Vehicles being instructed to slow down and keep an eye out for the construction workers. We've just passed a single-decker Amtrak train waiting. Is that the Lincoln service, I wonder? In the distance I can see the giant propellers of a wind farm slowly turning, generating electricity. We pass large grain silos on their own sidings so that rail cars can be fully laden straight from the silos and the grain taken to where it's needed, all across the US and probably the world. As far as the eye can see, the ground is green with crops. It is completely flat for many miles in each direction. There are a great number of wind turbines out here. Wind farm after wind farm, generating environmentally friendly electricity. So good to see. A sign I've just seen on the road says Lincoln, next 3 exits. Lincoln is about 30 minutes by rail from Springfield, and it received its name in 1853 in a unique ceremony presided over by Abraham Lincoln. It's the only city named after him prior to his election as president. A statue commemorates him christening the town with the juice of a watermelon. Lincoln Station is served by the Lincoln Service and the Texas Eagle. The current station is the railway line's former freight depot, renovated in 2017. Adjacent to the current station is a brick, Spanish mission-style depot building constructed in 1911 by the former Chicago and Alton Railroad, and later used by the Gulf, Mobile and Ohio Railroad. Although no longer used by Amtrak, the historic 1911 depot has been renovated for commercial use. During the 1980s and 1990s, it was both a railway station and a restaurant. In 2019, 22,869 Amtrak passengers used the station at Lincoln.
In just a few minutes, we will be arriving at our next intermediate station stop of Bloomington Armour. Bloomington Armour is your stop. Now it's time to come to the middle of your car. You'll have the stairs to the lower level to D-train of Bloomington Armour. Bloomington Armour in just a few minutes.
We're still running about 20 minutes late at Bloomington Normal. 125 miles from our destination, Bloomington Normal is comprised of 2 adjacent municipalities. Bloomington hosts one of the top Shakespearean festivals in the country and was named by Golf Digest as one of the 5 best places to play the game in the US. The popular snack, beer nuts, has been produced here since 1937. Bloomington also has several historic sites and mansions. Normal is the site of Mitsubishi Motor Manufacturing of America, the former Diamond Star Motors, which started as a joint venture between Mitsubishi and Chrysler. The main campus of Illinois State University, the state's oldest public university, is based here. Actor McLean Stevenson, best known for portraying Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake in the TV series MASH, was born in Normal. Uptown Station is in Normal. It is the major intercity rail station for north-central Illinois. In 2019, 229,894 passengers used the Amtrak services here, making it the fourth busiest Amtrak station in the Midwest. The original station was Bloomington Union Depot, located on Bloomington's west side. It was built in the mid-1880s and survived well into the Amtrak era because Bloomington Normal is on the most direct route from Chicago to St. Louis. It closed on June the 10th, 1990, and on October the 31st, 1997, the then partially demolished Union Station was destroyed by fire.
In about 30 minutes, we should be arriving at our next intermediate station stop at Pontiac. 30 minutes, Pontiac.
Passing through field upon field of corn. In the distance, farmhouses scattered with their barns and in many cases grain silos, waiting to take the crops. Here and there we pass a small lake, I imagine from some of the systems that I've seen used for irrigation. 24 hours by train in the US, and both the weather and the climate are so different. Gone is the hot, arid atmosphere of Texas, and we're now into the lush green of Illinois. We're now slowing. The odd jolt. Is this our approach to Pontiac, or are we going to have to wait for a freight train to pass us? Or maybe it's just a line speed restriction. We have a freight train passing us, a very short freight train, but I imagine that is part of the reason that we've slowed down. The train is currently just drifting along the track, not quite stopped. On either side of the track, fencing, which is quite rare to see. As for most of our journey, there has been very little fencing, unless, of course, it's been a demarcation line of some farm. We must be approaching Pontiac because one of the signal control boxes on the side of the line said Pontiac. We've just passed a sign advertising Joe's Station House Pizzeria. Just after that, a very weary 1960s motel with 2 cars parked outside it. I think we've arrived at the new station in Pontiac. Pontiac was named in 1837 after a legendary Indian chief. Settlers arrived the following year. Attractions include swinging bridges and the Route 66 Museum. There are boutiques, shops and restaurants. Pontiac Station is served by the Lincoln Service and the Texas Eagle. Until April 2007, it was also served by the Ann Rutledge, which ran from Chicago to Kansas City Union Station. Pontiac Station has a single low-level side platform for trains, along with a station depot for passengers. It originated as a stop on the Chicago and Alton Railroad. A station depot built in 1901 formerly served as the Amtrak station until a new one was constructed to the south, and that opened on June the 5th, 2017. The older depot was retired and has become a pizza restaurant. Over 16,630 Amtrak passengers used the station in 2019. The man with the microphone thanks the passengers and crew on train number 422, the Texas Eagle, which left Los Angeles Union Station on Sunday the 3rd of July 2022, bound for Chicago. The US Rail Journeys podcasts are produced and published by the Mr. T Podcast Studio. Thank you very much for listening, and please join me again in a couple of weeks for the next instalment.